Hey, are you doing everything right as a woman and you are still having trouble losing weight no matter what you do? Let's say you're even fasting and it's not working. I want to offer you some tips here about what to eat and when to fast around your cycles, okay? That's right. Like it absolutely matters when you're balancing estrogen and progesterone in the body. Let's say you feel highly energized in the beginning of the month and you feel fatigued at the end of the month. Well, there's a reason, right? And one of those time frames you should be doing more fasting in, one, less, more working out in one, less working out in the other. And there's a reason why you're probably craving more carbs in the second half of the month. So let's talk about how to work with your body and your hormones and what you can do about it, okay? Plus, I want to offer you a bonus recipe section at the end of this training and a free guide. If you're new to this channel, I'm Troy Rice. I'm an integrative medicine practitioner and naturopath, trained in several different disciplines, including functional medicine, functional breathing, and brain health. So let's dig into this training to figure out how you can eat, exercise, and fast to actually match your cycles and get the results that you want. Okay, here we go. So again, you probably went down this path where you are starting to do everything right. Let's say you're trying to eat right, you're learning about fasting, so you're doing that, you're exercising, and then certain times of the month you feel great, and then all of a sudden towards the end of the month you feel fatigue, lethargic, you don't feel like doing anything, you crave carbs, maybe even that means sugar and high processed foods, right? Why is that? So let's dig into a little bit about how those hormones are working in the body and how you can help them work for you, including some helpful tips and remedies, okay? So most importantly, what's most commonly best to understand here is, there's two different phases, right? You have the luteal phase and the follicular phase. The follicular phase is the beginning, usually days 1 through 14 for women for their menstrual cycles, right? And then you have days 15 through 30, or you could say 15 through 35, depending on if it's a little bit off cycle. And that is your luteal phase, okay? And what's most important to understand here is the beginning 14 days is when estrogen is at its highest, okay? And then in the latter half of the month, or the 14 or 15 days, that's when progesterone kicks in. So knowing just those two simple things will help you balance on what you should do during those time frames, okay? But first of all, I want to call off what happens if you have some hormone dysregulation. Like, what if you have high estrogen, low estrogen, or high progesterone or low progesterone? What are some signs and symptoms, ways you can test that if you're open to that? And then we'll dig into the remedies and how you can tap into doing it around your cycle times, okay? So what are some signs of high estrogen? Bloating, irritability, pounding headaches, right? Water retention, weight gain around the hips, unstable blood sugar, joint pain, potential yeast infections or recurring yeast infections, and then breast and nipple tenderness, okay? Those are signs of high estrogen. Low estrogen, hot flashes, fatigue, vaginal dryness, brain fog, concentration, osteoporosis, gas, flatulence, migraine headaches, depression, frequent urination, decreased libido, hot flashes and night sweats at nighttime, dry skin, and brittle nails, okay? Now let's jump down to signs and symptoms of progesterone, high progesterone, fatigue, weight gain, lightheadedness, headaches, light menstruation, brain fog, nipple swelling or tenderness. And you can see some of those are correlating with estrogen, right? And then for low progesterone, PMS, breast tenderness, low mood or depression, anger, rage, irritability, weight gain, water retention, missed periods, hair loss, heavy menstrual cycles, insomnia, and infertility, okay? And so I mentioned before we dug into that is, well, what could you do to test to see where your levels are at? And what I want to share with you too is there's a world of functional medicine testing out there, and they actually care about you telling them what cycle period you're in. Are you in menopause, perimenopause, And so all of that takes into factor. And then there are several different options. You can test all of your female hormones, including your estrogen, progesterone, and even testosterone, even DHEA, which is a precursor for those hormones, okay? You can do a straight estrogen test, a straight progesterone test, a women's wellness test, which then also includes cortisol levels. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how cortisol and stress means everything as well. And then stress, mood, and metabolism, which will give you everything. It'll measure your hormones, your cortisol, your thyroid, your blood markers like your hemoglobin A1C, and your insulin markers, and vitamin D, and how they all correlate to each other. So you can go from very basic all the way to expansive. You can order them and they go directly to your home. You get them done on your own time, mail them back in. It's a simple blood spot card or saliva sample. And then you get results back with you and your trusted practitioner like myself. So it's an awesome way to actually know your levels. So I have links in this guide that will link you to those tests so you can learn more about it. So before we dig into any helpful remedies though, let's take a short course here on the beginning pathways for your hormones. And that starts at vitamin B5, okay? Absolutely crucial in the body. I'm gonna actually show a graphic here that shows the exact pathways from vitamin B5 to acetyl-CoA to cholesterol, and then all of that going down into your different steroidal or sex hormones, including progesterone, starting off with pregnenolone, and then estrogen, testosterone, and then you can see cortisol on here. And if you're in a high stress state, it will steal everything. It's often known as the cortisol steal, which basically means that instead of the production line of progesterone and estrogen and balancing of the two, it will steal everything and give it towards cortisol to calm your body down. Because when you're in a stress state, your body is looking for cortisol to calm itself down. It's also why we're going to talk about different cycle periods and why it matters for when you're fasting, what you're eating, and your exercise. Because if you're not working with your body, you could be leading to more stress, more fasting that's going to cause more problems around these cycle things and production of the hormones. If you're not eating the right things, like eating potentially more carbs in the later half of the month to help out calm those cortisol levels and everything, and then help balance out progesterone, okay? So let's dig into a few remedies here as well. Seed cycling. You probably have heard of this before. I'm going to include a graphic here, but this is kind of a very unique approach that you can do to work with your body. There's an amazing account out there that I personally follow and I enjoy some of their content. The Minimalist Baker on Instagram, and I linked the website here, shares a lot about recipes where you can incorporate these types of seeds throughout those periods of the month. And so day 1, again, through day 14, you're going to considering estrogen boosting seeds, and that is flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and for the most part, it's those two, okay? As you're jumping into day 15 through day 30, day 35, you're looking for progesterone boosting foods, and that is sunflower seeds and sesame seeds, okay? We're going to talk about a few other remedies, but consider how you play with seed cycling to help you out with boosting those particular hormones during those periods, okay? How about some other helpful remedies? Here we go. Foods high in DIM and I3C or indole 3-carbinol, okay? And you can either take a supplement, and I've linked supplements in this guide, but if you prefer to get everything through food, which I recommend for most of my clients anyways, you're looking for cruciferous vegetables. What does that mean? Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, collard greens, and kale, okay? And then foods high in vitamin E, which would be wheat germs, sunflower seeds, almonds, peanuts, peanut butter. One sidebar here on peanut butter. Shoot for organic when you can. Valencia style peanuts, which are known to have tested less for mold in the peanuts, okay? And so you're looking for that because many peanuts are actually grown in the same fields as cotton fields, which are heavily sprayed with chemicals and pesticides. So look for organic when you can and strive for Valencia peanuts, okay? Keep going here. Beet greens, collard greens, spinach, pumpkin seeds I mentioned before, red bell peppers, asparagus, mangoes, and avocados are all excellent for vitamin E intake. How about herbs? Helping with hormones with herbs. Okay, here we go. You're going to definitely want bacopa, things like sage leaf, dong quai, are excellent. I'm going to list all of these in the guide. I've also listed a supplement source that has several different in it as well, but those are some really key common ones to help out. What else? Movement. Walking 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day, walking for 5 to 10 minutes after each meal, especially if you have like more insulin because you're eating more glucose, especially in the days 15 through 30. Definitely want to make sure you're walking so that you can re-regulate your insulin levels back down too, okay? So immediately walking after you eat. HIIT training, running, weightlifting, nature walks, yoga. Here's the clause though. If you're familiar with Dr. Mindy Pell's work she's got a ton of subscribers on YouTube. She's wrote some amazing books. One of them comes to mind is Fast Like a Girl, I think it is. But she talks a lot about this concept, which is making sure that you are fasting during the right times and you're moving and exercising during the right times. You're giving yourself sleep, and then you're eating certain foods like more carbs and stuff. And I'm talking good carbs like sweet potatoes and things, not like high sugar foods, but sweet potatoes, rice, things like that. Maybe even oats in the latter half of the month to help out with your progesterone, okay? And so movement-wise, you definitely want to maybe use all of that excessive energy from estrogen production day 1 through 14 and do things like HIIT training, running, weightlifting, and all those harder workouts in the first part of the month, okay? The latter half of the month, you're probably going to feel like doing less, and it's okay if you do here, okay? Maybe you don't push it and you allow your cortisol levels in your body to relax and recover as you're going through the progesterone phase, okay? And so lighter exercises, maybe that's when you do more of the yoga, more of the walking, the nature walks, things like that, maybe light training, okay? Sleep. I always encourage this, but the 3-2-1 rule, okay? No food 3 hours before bed, no liquids 2 hours before bed, and strive for no device use 1 hour before bed is awesome, okay? And then consistency. Consistent bed and wake time. So in other words, if you go to bed between 10 and 10:30 every night and you wake up between 6 and 6:30 every morning, like be consistent to reset those circadian rhythms. So crucial for the cortisol curve and the melatonin curve, right? Because you want cortisol to be the highest in the morning through the mid-afternoon, and then you want melatonin to kick in and be at its highest upon going to bed so you can get a good night's sleep, REM and deep, right? Fasting. Intermittent fasting of 12 to 14 hours from dinner to breakfast, or if you're not a breakfast person, I encourage my clients to at least consider a little bit of breakfast, keep that metabolism going. But sometimes people are more inclined to eat a later breakfast or lunch as their first meal. And so strive for 12 to 14 hours from dinner the night before to breakfast or lunch the next day. 3.5 hours, if you can, of fasting between meals with no snacking. Okay, and then here's the key clause. You're going to want to fast more in the days day 1 through 14, okay, when estrogen is its highest and your energy levels are ramped up, and you're going to want to fast a little bit less during the later half, so the 15 to day 30, okay? And that's working with your body. So if you've been learning about fasting and you don't think it's really working for you because you're doing all this fasting all different times of the month and it's not going with your cycles, that could be why, okay? So try to shoot for that. And again, Dr. Pell's is amazing at sharing that research if you want to do more of a deep dive, okay? Before I jump into the next phase of this, I want to take a sidebar and talk about what it looks like when you have too much estrogen in the body and how you feel versus balancing of estrogen in the body. And so why I'm going to share this graphic here is it's excellent because it really shows you what is possible when you do balance these things inside the body and what happens if you don't, right? So excess estrogen means that you could be increasing body fat right around the midsection. You could be having those signs and feelings of depression. You could have more headaches, salt and water retention, right? Increased blood clotting in the body. And if you're somebody more susceptible to that, that's definitely not what you want, right? You could have impaired blood sugar levels or decreased sex drive, all right? Now jumping over to balancing with progesterone. So in other words, you have a balanced ratio of progesterone and estrogen. You're going to have a natural antidepressant. You're going to have great feelings and thoughts. Those 75,000 plus thoughts a day are going to be serving you and then not negative. You're going to help use fat for energy storage, which is amazing. You're going to normalize your blood sugar levels. You're going to restore your sex drive, right? All of these things help prevent breast cancer, all these incredible things. So I just wanted to call that out real quick. So after you've learned all of this, how could you build a lifestyle wellness plan for yourself? And we call that the personalized wellness suit, which means a suit of wellness that you can live in the rest of your life, that you love and that loves you back. So if you're ready to implement some of these strategies and you want to work with a coach and build a sustainable plan, not a quick hack fix like I'm going to eat all these foods for a month or two, feel great, and then all of a sudden I resort back, like many of us do, right? We get back to our old habits. If you want to get on a plan where you're building a wellness suit for longevity, for long haul, we would absolutely love to help you do that. And we do that through foundational pillars of diet, exercise, stress, toxin removal, recovery, emotional balancing, sleep health, and then supplements when needed. And we take you through a journey of discovering the today you, which we call the old you, and then taking you through a process of creating the new you that you love to live in the rest of your life. So if that sounds interesting to you, please reach out to us, access this free guide from the training here, and we look forward to helping you personalize your wellness suit for a long life of well-being and health. So thank you for joining this training. As always, please access the guide below, including bonus recipes that involve all of the hormone balancing, hormone boosting, and vitamin E supporting foods. So there you go, and I will see you next time.